Hello and welcome to our video on the topic of monarchism in France. What it would be like if instead of president, France had a king or an emperor. Centuries after King Louis XVI met his end, there's still a debate around this. I know what you're thinking. Isn't the French monarchy a thing of the past? Aren't French all about republicanism after the French Revolution? Well, this is where it gets really intriguing. Let's start from the beginning. Remember 1789. It was a year that marked a crucial moment in French history, the outbreak of the French Revolution. The monarchy was toppled. King Louis XVI was executed and thus born the First French Revolution. Economic problems, political instability, all led to French populace to boiling point. And this revolution was their venting outlet. But then Napoleon Bonaparte came into picture. In 1804, declaring himself the French Emperor. He took the reins of power, conquering most of Europe, lost some wars, and was dethroned in 1815. The monarchy was reinstated with Louis XVI's brother, Louis XVIII, back to the throne. But was it smooth sailing from there? Far from it. Instead of learning that there is a Republican alternative threat present, this restoration sparked a significant conflict between the French monarchists, the Legitimists, and Orleanists. The French royal family was divided into these two major branches. The more conservative senior branch was known as the Legitimists, and the more liberal junior branch, the House of Orleans, was known as the Orleanist branch. Louis XVIII's reign ended in 1824. And was succeeded by Charles X. He tried to dismantle the destructive principles of the French Revolution, leading to a decrease in his popularity. Charles abdicated the throne in favor of his 10-year-old son, Henry V, amidst the July Revolution of 1830. However, Henry V never got to be king, and Louis Philippe, an Orleanist, was put into power by the revolutionaries. Fast forward to 1848, another revolution. Louis Philippe was dethroned by the revolutionaries that gave him the crown, leading to the Second French Republic. In a twist of events, this republic gave way to Napoleon III, who proclaimed himself as an emperor. His reign lasted until 1870, when defeat in the Franco-Prussian War led to his downfall and marked the end of the Second Empire. In 1871, elections after the armistice with Germany returned an assembly in which 2/3 of the 600 deputies were monarchists, 215 supporting the Orleanist pretender, Prince Philip of Orleans, 180 supporting the Legitimist pretender, the Henry V, and handful actually supporting the imperial cause. Yet this was the assembly which established the Third Republic. Now you might be asking, how is that possible? The deal was struck. Henry was to be a king, and he was to be succeeded by his cousin from the Orleanist side of the family, Prince Philippe. But Henry had an unshakable condition. He wanted the tricolor flag, a symbol of the French Revolution, removed. Thus Henry never became king, and the French monarchy was never restored. This became such an issue that Pope Pius IX remarked, "All that for a napkin." In Henry's defense, imagine someone asking a member of the House of Romanov to be Tsar of Russia again, but with the red flag of the USSR as the national flag. Quite a dilemma, right? In 1883, a death of Henry V, the Legitimist pretender, left the Prince Philip of Orleans as the undisputed Bourbon claimant. However, it was too late. Following royal demonstrations in 1886, all direct claimants, including the Bonapartist pretender, were banished by decree, and monarchy disappeared as a significant issue in French politics. The election of a president of a democratic republic normally takes place either by universal suffrage, as this is the case in the United States, or by parliamentary vote, which is the usual procedure in Europe. But not in France of that time, since Bourbons and Bonapartes were not allowed to participate. In 1958, the Fourth Republic collapsed under the weight of its own discredit, in particular because of the Algerian question, and Charles de Gaulle assumed power and resolved, among other things, to give France a constitution that would ensure strong and stable government. Under the Articles of Fifth Republic, published in 1962, presidential elections by universal suffrage was reintroduced, and, reading between the lines, there were more than a few who considered that de Gaulle was deliberately leaving the option open for a return of the Bourbon monarchy. Although the law of 1886, which condemned the Bourbon and Bonaparte pretenders to perpetual exile, was repealed under the Fourth Republic, the candidature of each man for the presidency remained specifically forbidden by law. No such condition was embodied in the Constitution of the Fifth Republic. Orleans' relationship with Charles de Gaulle was also promising, as the general and the pretender had similar political views and were both devout Roman Catholics. When de Gaulle became prime minister in 1958, it was expected by Henry that the general would move to restore the French monarchy, but instead de Gaulle preferred to strengthen the republican institutions, especially becoming the driving force behind the establishment of the present-day Fifth Republic. It is widely believed that in the summer of 1963, de Gaulle sounded out the reaction of leading Frenchmen to the prospect of Bourbon restoration, and that the response was a very definite no. The monarchy didn't get restored then, but it never actually disappeared from French politics. The monarchy's supporters kept the flame alive, hoping for a monarchy's resurgence. As of today, the French monarchist movements are divided into three main groups: the Legitimists, the Orleanists, and the Bonapartists, each backing different pretender to the French throne. While estimates suggest that 17% of the French people support a king instead of president, the lack of unity within the monarchy's body has prevented their representation in parliament. Interestingly, 24% of French people think that a monarchy could enhance France's image. So far, our channel has done two surveys, one in Brazil and one in Bavaria, on topics of monarchy, and our patrons can download the raw data to analyze them. France is definitely on our to-do list, and we will work towards finding out what is the true percentage of monarchy support in France today. Now, let's go back in time and look what would have happened if Henry V accepted the tricolor flag. He would have been succeeded by Prince Philip of Orleans, as planned. Then, Prince Philip would have been succeeded by his son, Philip. As he had no legitimate successor, he would have been succeeded by his cousin, Jean of Orleans, who died in 1940 in Morocco, not being allowed to enter France due to the law of 1886. Jean was succeeded by Henry, Count of Paris, who we talked earlier about. Henry was forbidden to enter France for much of his life. Nonetheless, he remained devout to serving France, having enlisted in French Foreign Legion and fighting in World War II and the Algerian War. After being permitted to re-enter France in 1950, he soon became heavily engaged in French monarchist politics. He died in 1999 and was succeeded by his son Henry. Henry was a retired military officer as well as an author and painter who passed away in 2019 and was succeeded by his son Jean-Charles Pierre-Marie of Orleans. Jean believes that the people of France are monarchists at heart and argues that they long for a non-partisan figurehead at the top. The question is, could a monarchy really benefit France? And if yes, how can the fracturing of monarchies in France be stopped? This topic sparked so many questions, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment and let's start a conversation. Do you think France could or even should restore the monarchy? Which pretender would you support if you were a French monarchist? And remember, there's no right or wrong answer, just different perspectives. And if you enjoyed this journey through France's fascinating history, don't forget to check out our other videos.